Hello, everyone, and welcome to Life Essentials, the Self Healer's Journey podcast. I am Bobby Benton, aka Serendipitously Bobby. And guys, tonight I am excited. I have my dear sister friend here, Ms. Diamond Jenkins. She is a domestic violence intervention specialist and a licensed therapist. And so tonight, Diamond and I, we tend to talk about domestic violence a lot because that's our purpose journey. And so tonight we're just going to talk about all things domestic violence. Like there are so many layers to it, but we want to start off the evening talking about understanding that what domestic violence looks like. And help educate people who don't think that they're in domestic violence relationships or may not realize they're in domestic violence relationships. So we want to unpack some of that. And so, Diamond, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. Woo-hoo. What camera? I'm looking here.
Yeah, that's your camera.
Okay, cool.
So, Diamond, share with us, just share with us the definition of domestic violence.
Okay, so I look at it from the lens of like battering overall, and then I'll break it down from like battering to, okay, like Bobby said, domestic violence, and then there's this other nuance to it, intimate partner violence. So battering overall is like, it's this pattern of behavior that evokes this fear or a real perceived threat of some type of like violence. And this is done in order to control and dominate your partner. So then when you kind of, go to these different subsets, you have intimate partner violence, you have domestic violence. Domestic violence is, again, this fear or this real threat of violence within anybody who shares a household together. And then you bump over to, okay, but what is IPV? And how is that different from DV? Or IPV, or intimate partner violence, is, again, this real or perceived threat of violence, but within a romantic relationship. So this can be with people who live together or who don't live together, but they're in intimate relationship with one another.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was trying to share it. Okay. So, like she said, but it all boils down to power and control. Power and control.
Yeah.
And I'm going to write that down because I want to say something about that later. So, with that, I want to give us a quick stat, guys. On an average, 24 people per minute are victims of rape, physical violence, stalking by intimate partners in the United States. More than 12 million men and women over a course of a single year are impacted by domestic violence. That's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm really, I get excited to talk about this, especially with you, Bobby, because we look alike. You know what I mean? Like, we are Black women who've experienced the things that we're going to talk about today. And I don't know why we aren't, especially as Black women, Black men, a community talking about this more, because you have over 50%. I just shared this stat not too long ago on my social media. Over 50% of Black women who are killed, they're killed by their intimate partner. Why aren't we talking about that more? Like, I really am not seeing a whole lot, even within a month that's dedicated to domestic violence. It's like, no, like, it's taboo, like we were talking about earlier. Like, nobody is uncomfortable, it's taboo. No one wants to be accountable for what's happening to us, especially Black women.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, too. Like, even in the medical field, we're treated poorly, like we have higher pain tolerance. No, we don't. We really just like anybody else.
But that, I feel like it goes, it doesn't stop there. Like you said, with that higher pain tolerance, it's like.
So we can take a punch longer, harder, what?
All of that, like we're expected to endure and participate in struggle of and give, you know, people chance after chance after chance.
Yep.
Because the notion is our threshold is higher, and it's not. We're human just like the next woman, but we're expected to put up with a whole lot more, and it's not fair.
And that right there, see, I'm about to go all the way back to slavery. No, it's deep because it starts back in slavery. Because the family was divided, the husband was taken away, the woman was treated as an object to the slave owner. And then you even had some slaves that treated their women, just because they were slaves didn't mean that they still didn't have their own issues, you know. So as we go all the way back to slavery, the layers are just, you got to peel away so many layers. History, like the black woman has been used and abused since the beginning of time. And
you're right, and it's like when we start to speak up about it, why y'all complaining about it?
Why y'all so hostile? Angry black woman.
Like, I'm just talking, you being aggressive. No, I'm standing up for myself. I'm speaking up for myself.
Yeah, I'm passionate. You can say what you want to say, but I'm passionate. No. So, and if you guys don't know it, if you're just tuning in, I am a DV survivor. And so is Diamond. And tonight you will hear some parts of our journeys, our stories. And we both have been on a healing journey. We're at different places on our healing journey, and we support each other while we're on this journey together. We love on each other and just are there for each other. And we help whomever. Somebody call, we'll come running. We help him. So, but with that said, I want to just put this out there. When a survivor, thriver shares their story, if the abuser gets upset, they should have behaved better, because it's part of our story. And a lot of times people who have been abusive don't want you to share your story because it makes them look bad. Well, you shouldn't have behaved the way you behaved, and then there wouldn't be a story to tell.
I mean, like, that's the epitome of how they exist in the world.
Silence.
Yeah. Like, they don't want you to speak up. They don't want you to confide in anyone. The goal is to keep you isolated and to keep everything tucked.
Yep. So. And then, well, hats off. The faucet isn't running today. So, Diamond and I were talking, so we do little rehearsals before the show. So Diamond and I were talking about how so many women don't even realize they're in domestic violence relationships because they're like, well, he didn't hit me or I fought him back. Remember, ladies, you should never have to even fight anybody back. There should never be a situation where it's getting physical, period. So let's dispel that myth there. Well, because I fought him back, I'm not a victim. Oh, sister girl, yes, you were. You should not have had to fight in the first place. But I mean, can you unpack for us just the types of domestic violence, since a lot of people don't think that they're being abused because they didn't get hit.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up. There's something called a power and control wheel. And I like to use this to talk about those different aspects of abuse, because there are certain tactics that difficult, manipulative, toxic, abusive, narcissistic, however you want to label them, they use different tactics in order to use or manipulate, to distort, to disrupt, to dysregulate you. But ultimately, the goal, which is the inside of the wheel, is the power and control. So some of their tactics may be using your children against you, And then within that sphere or that realm, they have examples of making you feel guilty about the children, using children to relay messages, or using visitation to harass, threatening to take children away. And I think I was recently, just kind of be transparent, we may continue this conversation later, but recently there was a situation where my own children was used against me, as far as like not being able to know where their whereabouts are for the weekend, who they're gonna be around. So you have to understand, like, manipulative, toxic people, they don't have no limits. You know what I'm saying? Where you think that, okay, the kids are gonna be off the table. Nothing is off the table for them. So don't be surprised if you see your abuser or manipulative person or whoever use your kids against you. There's something called, now this power control wheel was made, it was created by women who have been through toxic and abusive relationships, and one of the aspects is using male privilege. And so it's treating her like a servant, making all the big decisions, acting like the master of the castle, being the one to define men's roles and women's roles. So if you have someone, you know, saying like, well, you know, you're supposed to be doing the dishes, you're supposed to be cleaning up, like, you're the woman, that's your duty. And you're like, well, you know, I'm going to work for 40 hours just like you. And then they're like, well, I cut the grass. You know what I mean? And you're like, but it's winter time. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't making sense right now. Like, why do I have to have all these duties and then on top of the mental load? So other things are coercion and threats, intimidating, emotional abuse, isolation. These are just some things that make up that inner portion of the wheel, and then they get reinforced by the outer band, called that's the physical violence, or maybe there's some sexual violence in there. So it's all kind of inner, like, working together in order to achieve the power and control.
Let's talk about real quick emotional abuse, and let's get it, because I want to talk about emotional abuse, because a lot of times people don't realize they're being emotionally abused, and that's when your mate is talking down to you, putting you down. When they first get with you, you're the bee's knees, you're everything, you're Miss Perfect. As time goes on, they slowly chip away at you to break you down. That way they can control you. So even like infidelity, like serial cheaters, that is also domestic violence. So that impacts you emotionally. And a lot of times people don't even think about it like that. So not let alone you got him telling you that you the slave in the house, you're supposed to be doing all the chores. Like, those are not gender roles, those are life skills. Those are not just gender roles. Everybody needs to learn how to cook, wash dishes, do all that. So
basic life skills, right?
Basic life skills.
So, like you said, those things, like the cheating, lying, gaslighting, those are all cumulative, meaning that they are, like Bobby said, they're gonna have a greater impact over time. This isn't, you know, someone may not be reaching out to you in a physical way, harming you in a physical way, but over time, you know, this lie, you know, maybe you saw a text message with, you know, your significant other and someone else, and you're like, wow, like, this is kind of deep, what's going on here? Over time, that's gonna have an impact on you also. And then just kind of being mindful of, even when you are approaching someone who's toxic and difficult and possibly has some narcissistic traits, you have to understand that that interaction is gonna have an impact on you. So if you're coming, you found something, you're hurt, you noticed something, maybe there was an interaction that you literally saw in front of your face, and then they tell you, you didn't see what you saw. You know what I mean? Or if they say they do, you know, if you do have like concrete evidence, you bring it to them, they break down, they start crying. Why are you crying? You're cheating on me. So you have to really be mindful of that, because that's where that flip comes around, and it's something called Darvo, where they start to reverse who's the victim and who's the offender. And it's hard because you're looking at this person, you're like, I love this person. Like, you want to have the most positive perception of who's in front of you. Maybe you have kids with them. Maybe y'all married. So you're trying to have a positive perception, but you have to try to keep a clear, keep some type of, what am I trying to say? You have to be able to perceive like the truth versus what they're trying to get you to see.
It's like cognitive dissonance
there. Yeah. So just understanding that manipulation, flipping, all of that is, like Bobby said, emotional abuse. You have to remember, they see life, they move through life with like distorted lenses. Like, they're toxic people are walking around with glasses. You know, these glasses help me to confabulate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta make up a story because the truth, I gotta take my glasses off for that. And I'm not doing that.
Well, that hits their ego. That's like that. It's hitting their ego because it's like, I'm not the person that I'm presenting myself to the world. It's my shadow self. I'm over here floating in the shadow realm instead of just presenting myself as who I truly am. You know, so, but I want to talk about this, the cycle of abuse, because a lot of times people are like, well, why don't you just leave? Just leave. Girl, just leave. Oh, girl, he wouldn't do that to me. I would just leave. Until you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, shut up. Yeah. You're not just gonna leave. So what I want to talk about is the cycle of abuse. So how it starts off is you start off with the tension building phase. So it's y'all having a argument, y'all getting into it or whatever, however they're inflicting the abuse upon you. Then it's the abuse that occurs. So it's working up. You know, he coming home, he in a bad mood. It's like, oh, okay, something about to happen. So then he inflicts or she inflicts whatever abuse upon you. Then it's you make up, and it's the honeymoon phase. This is where a lot of abusers will buy their mates gifts to make up for the abuse they just inflicted. So I know people who will not take flowers from their mates because their mates only get them flowers after they have cheated. So it's little things like that. Or they won't take gifts from their mate because they know the gift is only coming because you just did something to me. So it's like you're going through that honeymoon phase. So I'm gonna give you this gift, and I'm gonna lovey-dovey you, and I'm gonna be good for about 6 months, sometimes even 3 or 2. So I'm gonna be good for a minute, and then it's the calm before the storm. You're like, oh, good, we're back on good terms and blah blah blah. And boof, here we go again. And so the cycle repeats. And so when this cycle is happening, what it's doing is it's creating what's called a trauma bond. Me and Diamond were talking about the science of it. And I talk about trauma bonding a lot because trauma bonding it's like an addiction to the chaos. Because you are getting so it's oxytocin. That is what attaches you or bonds you to your abuser.
That's the love.
That's the love hormone.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, so y'all know how you may meet a guy or a girl, y'all want to talk on the phone 24/7 all the time. Stop doing that. Because what you're doing is you are getting you're getting connected to this person. Then you become physical with this person before you even know them. Then you're releasing that oxytocin. So now I'm bonded with them. Then they're being all lovey-dovey, and every time they send you that text or every time they call you and y'all spending all this time together, dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. So you get all these dopamine hits like a drug. It's like you're smoking crack. You're addicted to this person. So that's how you get bonded with them. So then what they do is once they see you're attached to them, then I'm gonna start chipping away at you little bit, little by little. Then I'm gonna breadcrumb you. So I'm a chip, push you away, and then pull you back real quick. Chip, push you away, pull you back. And so what that yo-yo effect is doing is throwing all your hormones off. It's just throwing you're just a whole chemical imbalance. And then it's like, well, I can't figure out why I can't leave this person alone. Cause I'm addicted to them. Girls be like, oh girl, it's his D. Girl, it ain't his D. You addicted to, well, it's the truth. That is I'm sorry.
I know.
But I ain't had no D good enough where I'm addicted. No, it's the chemical dopamine hit that you're addicted to. You're trauma bonded to this person. And that me and Diamond was talking about this, about how girls are like, oh, my exes always come back. Quit bragging about that mess because it's not cute. Because what that is just saying that there are no boundaries there for you, and that person knows that they can yo-yo you back and forth and that you're addicted to them. Girl, an ex is an ex for a reason. Leave them over there, okay? Well, go ahead, Diamond, because I'm just running my mouth.
No, I mean, I feel like it reminds me of that movie Lord of the Rings. I don't know if y'all remember Gollum. He was always like, you know, my precious.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like over time, like that trauma bonding, it turns you into something like similar where, like Bobby said, like it becomes an addiction. That's all you can think about. You know what I mean? Like you are on board with whatever this person, whatever they own, you own. You know what I'm saying? Like your boundaries, they kind of go out the window. You know what I mean? You could have been in a place where you're like, hey, you know, I'm not really feeling, you know, having sex before marriage or something. Like you have your moral code. However, you start, you know, just kind of leaving things in the wind and connecting with this person, and then you questioning your entire code. Like, no, you gotta stick to the code, stick to your morals, because this gonna leave you. When they discard you, you're gonna feel like Gollum. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna feel like him inside the way that he looked outside. Because you've been worshiping this person, this toxic person, this manipulative person, and it's gonna be exposed. You know what I mean? Like sooner or later. And on the flip side, that person, they're like Gollum too, because their ring is attention. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So yes, they have you locked in, but trust, they got that attention, they got them racked up, and it's like whoever latches on, that's who they gonna roll with. And they looking for the person with the least self-esteem that they gotta make the least effort with.
Yep.
Do you understand? So you may have got the best that this person is gonna put out. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be cognizant because they may look good on the outside, but they look like they on some Gollum stuff on the inside.
Rotten.
You know, they rotten. Like they for whoever is paying me attention at the time, and it's addictive.
Yep. So I want to read this. So, if you watch the show often, y'all know I love to talk about narcissism. So I pulled this up. It says, many abusive men exhibit narcissistic traits or are diagnosed with NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, because narcissism inherently involves traits that align with controlling and abusive behavior. While not all abusers are narcissists, there are often strong correlations between narcissistic traits and abusive dynamics in relationships. Abusive men with narcissistic traits, or NPD, use control, manipulation, and power to dominate their relationships. So, Diamond, I want to talk about this. So, you post a lot about women who have lost their lives to domestic violence. And a lot of times, those men who have taken those lives have high traits of narcissistic,
Right.
personality traits. And most narcissists aren't diagnosed because they think that everybody else got the problem and not them, so they're not gonna go to therapy. So it's a bunch of undiagnosed narcs out here.
Yeah,
So
no, for sure. I mean, everywhere. It doesn't stop with men, but it's more prevalent in men because of our society.
Yep.
It's like it's literally set up to breed narcissists or narcissism, especially in men because we live in a patriarchal society.
So when we talk about, like, why don't you just leave? When women are for real about to leave, that is the most dangerous time to be leaving a relationship. Because when the abuser knows that when the woman's fed up, ain't nothing he can do about it. Those that take lives are so selfish and show no empathy or care for anybody else. They want what they want, and they see the woman as a piece of property.
Right.
She is this cup, this is my cup.
my cup.
Nobody can have my cup. And if I can't have this cup, I'm just gonna destroy this cup.
Yeah, they do that, or they'll just go. You know what I mean? Like, they'll just leave. And that's what happened within my own situation, where there's no regard for me or my children. You know what I'm saying? So they're either, and I would tell my own kids, like, when they kind of have questions like, what happened? Like, why did he leave? Like, I don't understand. It's because they're gonna do one of two things, and I would tell them, like, hey, you gotta be grateful, because a lot of situations don't end the way that ours did. You still get to see your dad, you still get to interact, you still get to have a relationship. Our family is still intact. You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, it just looked different now. But in a lot of situations, like Bobby said, they choose another route, which is they destroy their families, they kill their partners. And that's unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like, that should cause an uproar. That's why we should be talking about this more, because when men choose to be violent, they are ending our lives. And it looks different for us. Like, when we choose toxicity, violence, or whatnot, that's usually on like a resistive type of tip. But even still, even if we are truly that toxic person, the impact is not as devastating as when a man chooses violence.
And that's why so many women pick the bear.
You said pick the bear?
So there's this on TikTok, Facebook, all these. So they ask women the question: if you were in the woods and you were lost, and there was a man and a bear.
Oh, yeah.
And they would pick the bear every time, because the bear is not going to try to rape them, try to harm them. Right. Whereas if you lost in the woods with some random man, you don't know what this man gonna do to you.
Yeah, it's diabolical.
Yeah, because
can be.
Men look at women, not all men, but a lot of men look at women as possessions. And you're just this thing that I can use and abuse. It's like, I don't love you. I love what you can do for me. I love like you said, the adoration that you give me, but I don't actually love you.
Man.
You know?
Someone shared with me just like the perception that my ex-husband had you know, within his spheres of influence, like Diamonds, I'm telling you, like, he was viewed as a family man, and within that same sphere, just having a field day, you know, with the women that he was around. So I don't know what to, what to tell you. Like, this is real, because I'm talking about high people within that sphere, high people within on that hierarchy or whatnot within that sphere, and these people got their own families and things like that. So,
and see, the thing is that, so what I in my life, I've learned that people, a lot of unhealed people are married who should not be married to each other. And instead of fixing the relationship, they go outside of the relationship. And a lot of times, like you said, they go for that person that has the least boundaries or low self-esteem.
Man,
sometimes
the lowest of the low.
And sometimes they will go for the person who has the education, has the, I'm gonna say this, predators, because that's what they are. They see the loving, nurturing, kind, empathetic person, and they go right for it.
Yeah.
Because they're like, that person has so much empathy, they'll keep forgiving and forgiving and forgiving.
Yeah, especially when you're locked in, like you've established that trust, that rapport, like you've made this representative so real. Like you could, you feel like you're touching this person. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a relationship with this person that's so real, and like I said, it's just a representative, because what's actually happening is kind of like that iceberg that you see where, you know, you have this anger at the top, but it's so much more below the surface.
Yep.
That's how they move. There's so much more below the surface, and this can go on for years. And what helps keep the, you know, like the secret going is the people that's around them ain't saying nothing about it. Or they'll say they had no idea what was going on either. Like, oh, that's your best friend. You said, like, that's your best friend. Okay.
I don't believe that no dude gonna say like, I ain't gonna
okay.
ask your boy, which you gonna lie to me,
You know
whatever.
what I'm saying? But that's part of, and I posted about this, it helps to breed it, that behavior, because it's just going unchecked. And one of the main ways you deal with narcissism is confronting it. So if it's never getting confronted, it's just growing and growing and growing. You moving further and further and further down that spectrum, because nobody's saying nothing to you about it, except the person that you say you love, but you are
Hurting.
continuously.
And that you think she not gonna ever go nowhere, but guess what? Eventually she does. But well, not all. But so can you pull up that one clip for us, please? So we're gonna show you a clip of where Diamond, it was your clip, so explain it.
Oh, okay. I just sent this clip to Bobby. I was scrolling on TikTok one day, and it's just so much that I want to touch on. So I'll like save clips, but then I never use them because it just takes a lot of time. But this clip in particular was like this husband basically like emotionally manipulating his wife, saying that, you know, if she left him, no one's gonna want her. Like just this breaking down psychologically and emotionally, so that she's rendered basically like psychologically helpless. You know what I mean? Where you start to believe what they telling you, and you stay longer. So.
Yep. So let's roll the clip.
No one's going to marry you. No one's going to want to take over that. I know a lot of people are going to take over 2 kids and an aunt in your situation, and somebody's fucking lazy. Nobody's going to want that. You're a broken wife. I'll be the first to tell and warn whoever wants to know. You've recorded me like this fucking matters.
First and foremost, you need to get your children and you need to get the fuck away from that man. That man is a ticking time bomb, and soon you will not be here with us anymore. There's other videos on her page of this man attacking her, abusing her, and this woman is a married single man. He feels like he has to beat it in.
So in the clip, as you saw, he just completely like decimated her, like her spirit, you know. And then you hear the young lady saying, "You gotta get out. You gotta leave. You know, he's dangerous." She's right, because anytime a man, so this is how it started off. Like so this was so I was in 2 domestic violence relationships. Lord Jesus, thank you for the healing. But so hey Toya.
Hey girl.
So how it started off for me was it was the love bombing. With the person 24/7. I thought he was a God-fearing man.
Man.
Coming getting me for church and just you know, just showering me, you know. And then it came to the point where, okay, we get married, and it just, like, my self-esteem was just crushed. The first is, oh, you're so beautiful. Then it's, one day I'm dressing up real pretty, trying to, you know, the little robe, like, hi, you know. Take that makeup off. What you got that makeup on for? Take that off. I was like, what? And y'all was looking cute. So, you know, it was that. And it gave me a complex, because anytime I made myself, they definitely love the drop. Yeah, they do. So it gave me a complex, for like, I really didn't wear makeup at all anyway, but it gave me a complex to where I didn't really want to wear makeup, and I didn't think I was pretty. And so that right there is comparison, like, to how that man broke her down. And it took me a while to build my self-esteem back up to where I finally felt like I am pretty, you know. But it took me a long time of leaving, you know, for me to get to that point. And then I was trauma bonded to him. And so my relationship, my abuse was physical, financial, because I didn't work. I took care of the kids. So it was physical, financial, emotional, mental. It was the whole dang on wheel, except for the sexual assault. You know, so I went through all of that, and it broke me. And for a long time, I was scared of him, even years after leaving.
Yeah.
And it's like I had PTSD so bad, like, yeah, even to this day, certain, like, if I am well, I ain't talking to nobody in years, but if I talk to somebody dating and smells trigger me. So I don't deal with men who drink. So I don't, because that smell triggers me. I don't know if that person is going to act crazy on me, because he did a lot of his physical stuff. Whenever he got caught cheating, I got choked, or I got body slammed, or I got slapped because he was cheating.
Right.
You know?
Well, how dare you find out I'm cheating?
How dare I find out?
How dare you?
Like, one of the most embarrassing times for me was, it was a summertime, like 90 degrees. We had got into it, the police, and I had to turn the police away because I was financially dependent on him. I had 2 small kids. I was financially dependent on him. So when the police came, I was like, y'all can just go on. Mind you, I got handprints, like, all here on me.
Goodness.
And I had to tell them to leave because we had just bought a house. I couldn't afford this. I'm still trying to take care of these kids. So it's like that. So the way that man talked to that woman, I felt that.
Man.
I felt that, because he wanted 5 kids. Not from this body.
Yeah.
No.
they're trying to lock you down. Like,
Yeah,
lock
ain't
you
nobody
in.
gonna want you with fat kids.
Yeah, the thing that, like you said, like you resonated with you was that. What resonated with me was the part where he knows that she's recording, and he like, I don't care. That's the part that triggers me because it's that lack of empathy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I said, like I was just in a situation where I was baited, where my children were being used against me. And so one of the examples that I gave was, hey, you know, how would you feel if you didn't know where your kids were gonna be or who they would be around for the weekend? And he proceeded to say, I don't care. Or I was like, you know, if I didn't introduce you to this man or you have no idea who this man is, I don't care. Like because it's a genuine no care. They have no cares about anything, especially you, including your children. Like you have to understand, like somebody who's sitting there that's like, record me and saying that type of stuff to you, post it. They genuinely do not care. So when the girl pops back on, she's like, leave him. Like, he's dangerous because I don't know if this man has been physically violent with this woman, but he's psychologically violent because, for sure, because there's this gross lack of empathy. There's this gross lack of understanding. There's this gross lack, like, it's careless. So you have to really pay attention to stuff like that. Like, this man really don't care about anything. And that should be like, that should concern you. Like, there was a situation where that lack of empathy, like me, like kind of looking back as to where I had missteps, where I should have, when I had the papers at Oakland County, like about to sign, and I remember, I think Bobby was one of my friends, like, because everybody was so bought in to this man. I'm telling, like, he does a great job, but everybody was so bought in to where I'm sharing, like, hey, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't subscribe to this.
And I feel bad that I didn't let you.
It's all right. It's all right. I don't have, when I say, like, I don't have no negative, nothing towards my friends for trying to help me, like, salvage my marriage, because I would have done anything, even up until, you know what I mean, when things start coming out, I'm like, oh my God, like, I just posted something where it's like, he doing this on purpose. Like, when that hit me like this, like, it's intentional. The manipulation is intentional. Like, he get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my God.
Well, he would tell you flat out what he was doing. That's the Delulu part with him.
Later on. But when I first started to notice it, I was sitting with EJ when he was first born, and it was like around the holidays. And I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm like, we're gonna start our little Christmas traditions, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I'm about to be out the door. My boys is calling. I'm like, damn, it's Christmas Eve, bro. Like, I just had my first baby. Like, you out of here, bro? For real. He like, I'm about to dip. And so I confronted him about it, but in a gentle way. Like, man, like, that's really hurtful. Like, I was hoping we could connect for Christmas Eve or whatever. And he just started yelling, like, you know, like, oh my, well, I can't remember the exact words because, like Bobby said, that PTSD, that mental fog, but it's just a line of yelling just persisted. And so I got E here, and I'm like, what I really need is for the yelling to stop, especially around my baby. Like, this is like a literal baby in the car seat sitting here, and I know how screaming is gonna have an impact on him. Like, I'm a therapist, like, I get it, or, you know, I had just graduated, I think. So I'm like, I get it, you know, and I really need, like, whatever we gonna say, like, I just need the screaming to stop. He continued with it, and I'm like, I'm sitting there like, this really don't care. You don't care. And so that's the things that would triggered me to take my stuff. I was like, it's a wrap. I told Bobby and my girl Toya, I said, it's a wrap on that. And they were like, but it's just these things, and if, you know, he works on this, but I'm like, no, like, this ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we then made an attempt to work on it, but it was just this person getting better at manipulating. Like, oh, okay, she actually talks about her stuff. She will actually leave. And this is what is literally used to this day is, she said she was gonna leave. That's why I cheated.
What?
Like, she said she's gonna leave. She keeps saying it. If you continue with this behavior, and did. What Cardi say? And did. And did. So, yeah.
What he say? Lauren said, what time of the day was that on Christmas Eve? That don't make sense.
It don't make sense. That's the whole thing. So when it's happening, I'm like, this don't make sense. Like, you was just out of here, bro. But that was on some, I'm telling you how I feel, and it's like, I don't care.
Yep. And the thing with your situation is that the mask had everybody fooled.
Yeah.
And
just to be honest, I'm sorry before I leave this thought, I said so after he wouldn't stop, I said some wild stuff. I got my God shirt on today, so I'm gonna try not to curse. Everybody that know me. Like, I'm trying to make an effort to curse less, and eventually, hopefully not, but I am a cursor. But I'm just saying that I said some wild stuff, like being accountable to what I said. After that, like, it's triggering me now, and I'm just like, yo, I said some stuff that I wish I could take back. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we talking close to 13 years ago or 12 years ago or whatnot. So you can't keep using that for your current bad behavior if you say I'm working through it. You know what I'm saying? And people and those type of toxic people, they're gonna hold on to how they prompted you to act in a toxic way and hold you to that to justify their inflated sense of self.
Narky.
Narc alert.
Narc. But that's the thing, like,
thank you.
And through that time, Diamond, like, you had changed and grew so much for him to even say anything, the lies.
God can use anything and anybody. And that's the thing, where he thought that, you know, you're gonna hide and manipulate. God is actually using you to craft me. Like, he can use anything. He can use anything to change. So you're using God to manipulate, but he's using it to bring me closer to him.
And you beast. So we call Diamond a bully slayer, y'all. She do not play, y'all. She do not play. So, but you know what? Just like domestic violence. Oh, we gotta go in a minute. So with domestic violence is to have a support system is important. So a lot of times you're isolated away from your friends and family. I'm just thankful for our friendship. I'm thankful for Toya. I'm thankful for my best friend, for myself. I'm thankful for all of us because all of us done been through some things and we never let each other go. You know, and that's the thing. If you have friends and family who are unaware, what you can do is you can kindly may say, hey, have you ever thought about, or hey, can you read this information? You know, don't make it so blatant that he would see because you're putting her in danger. But if y'all going out for tea, girl, did you ever notice?
Yeah, or criticizing her. You know what I'm saying? Like, girl, you stupid. This is automatic. The defenses is going to go up because it's like, I'm already embarrassed that I'm in this type of situation. And then, like, you're lifting the veil, but it's not in a real, like, helpful way. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're going to be my friend, then commit to being my friend. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't have the capacity to be my friend when I am not on the road that I should be on, then you should probably go ahead and take that step back.
And not be my friend, period.
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 You know what I mean? But that's what the abusive or toxic person wants, is for people to take a step back. And if you do have the capacity to stay there, stay right there, just in case.
Yep. So I know for my situation, I did the whole back and forth thing, like the whole trauma bond dance, back and forth. And my sister never let me go. She never let me go. And, you know, domestic violence was prevalent in our family. And, like, even, you know, just throughout our family. And because I see it now, because I've experienced, I can see it, I don't let people go. So you have to commit, and like Diamond said, know your capacity. I'll call people who can be in it for the long haul. You're a long hauler. I'm in it for the long haul. So it may be that night where you call me at 3 in the morning, be like, girl, I'm rest to go. I'm serious. I got you. I'm putting on my shoes now. I'm that person. Because that could be the night that your life is saved. Because when somebody's ready to go, you gotta move, you know? And you have to know how you can show up for people. And if you truly love your friends and family, tell them how you can show up. And you can be a safe haven for them. They gotta come spend a night for a couple nights. Let them. They have nowhere else to go. There are hardly any shelters. And, you know, safety planning. You can take your, girl, we're gonna go out to lunch. And then y'all can just have a little conversation, set up a little safety plan. Don't put nothing on paper because you don't want nothing to be seen, but y'all had that conversation. But, you know, you gotta start planning your exit when you do realize what you're in, but you have to do it safely and make sure your support system understands that I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to call you stupid for staying. I'm not going to belittle you. And you know what? We're going to be friends with him. What up, bro? Because guess what? Just like you wearing that mask playing that game, I'm about to play with you too. Because when she rests to go, fuck you. Come on, girl, let's go. I ain't got on the Jesus shirt.
But no, you made a good point in like that, the ally, your friend or whatnot, is being clear about what you do have the capacity for. So if you have someone who's telling you like, oh, I'm right back with him, girl, blah, blah, blah. If you don't have the capacity to listen, to be there, you need to communicate that. Like, I love you. I cannot watch you continue to go back and forth with this man. So once you do come out, I will be here, you know what I mean? Or maybe you do have the capacity to help them, find some resources, or, like Bobby said, just being there, being that long hauler friend where maybe you have 10 minutes to talk about him. After the 10 minutes, we're talking about something else. Because that's all I have the capacity for in this moment.
Yeah, but that right there, that transparency, and that's being a friend. You gotta know who's in your circle. Not everybody is your friend. So we have talked about quite a bit, but it is 7:10, and you have to get the business.
I'm good.
Okay. I don't want EJ calling where you
at. No, right, he will.
Where you at? No, so before we go, Diamond, share your social media handles with everyone if they want to get in touch with you. She does individual therapy, and she also does batterers intervention groups. And she does acupuncture, yoga. She's jack of all trades and master of all those. So read your
well, my main way to reach out to me is my IG, and everything is kind of connected from there. So if you go on my IG page, it's Diamond A. Jenkins LPC. So Diamond A. Jenkins LPC, that's my Instagram handle. And from there, you click the link, you will find a website, you will find my business IG, you will find emails, just a way to connect. And you can also find my DM. Like, even if you are like unsure about something, like I have people reach out to me all the time in my DMs, like, hey, you know, like I think I'm going through this. What do you think? You know what I mean? Like, what does this sound like for you? And they just want, sometimes you just want to kind of like touch base and get some clarity, because being around a toxic person, it brings a fog around you. You have to understand, like, you can't be around a dusty person and not have dust, you know, come up off of you. Like, it's gonna be hard to see. You're gonna get some dust on you. So myself, people like Bobby, we can help clarify and help you see through that dust.
Yeah, we'll help you dust yourself right on off. So, okay. Thank you, Ms. Diamond. And then, so now we're going to go to ways that you can help support Life Essentials. You can like, love on the social media pages. Can you put the other one up? Oh, you don't have the other one? Okay. You can like, love on social media pages, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Life Essentials, A Self-Healer's Journey. And then you can also share the page. That's free to share. That's my mama calling. And comment in the, like we're doing the show, or if you chime in later and watch, comment, help motivate others. Share some positive affirmation, something, because that's the whole point of Life Essentials. We're here to help each other grow on our journeys through life, to help each other heal, and that's what I'm about. And so, as my producer says all the time, I always feel funny asking for financial support. So financially support the channel, you can Cash App any donations you want to the channel to Life, LIFEESS podcast. And the proceeds from the channel goes towards funding Winning Touch Advocacy Agency's resources to support victims of domestic violence and intimate partner violence, to help people start their healing journeys and just start all over. And some of the funds do help pay for the podcast also. But what I do is I pay cell phone bills. I pay, man, PPO prices went up, girl. $125 now.
Oh my
So
God.
anyway, sorry, brain fart, chase a squirrel. PPOs, hotel stays. I'm working on hopefully getting to the point where I can help people pay like first month's rent and security deposits and things like that when they want to leave. Pay for storages, U-Hauls, whatever people need to get out that situation, because some people will stay. They're like, I don't want to leave my stuff. Girl, let me, come on, we got this U-Haul, and I got on my boots so we can go on and start moving you. But no, so
Yeah.
I try to remove any barriers to people staying. I help do, well, I ain't gonna help do, I do simple divorces. I've done quite a few. I've done a lot of divorces. And I do help change parenting time. So if it's involved with domestic violence, I can help you do your parenting time paperwork. If you need getting help set up with DHS, whatever, I got you. You need somebody to go to court, hold your hand, I got you. So I do provide very well emotional support, because it's heavy. If you need somebody to help you file a police report, whatever you need, one-stop shopping, I got you, okay? So, and that is it for that. And then can you pull up our guest for next week? So we have Detective Sergeant Jonathan Walden. He is going to be sharing his expertise about human trafficking. So we're going to be talking about facts and myths about human trafficking. He is very well versed. So I just want to everybody know that human trafficking and domestic violence, they intersect. A lot of times women who are trafficked are being trafficked by their man.
Just posted some, this
being
man
trafficked by their
trafficked his
man.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah. So they go hand in hand. So you ain't got one without the other. So next week, just tune in. It's going to be a good show too. So we'll be back on Thursday, our regular time, Thursday at 7 p.m. live on YouTube and Facebook. I had to make accommodations for Miss Diamond. Yes. So I want to thank you guys. Diamond, you say bye there. I say bye here. And we will see you again. And I will see you next week. Good night.
Good night.